The Arizona Early Learning Standards. In this module, you will learn about the use of standards in instructional planning. You will also learn about standards used in preschool through grade 3. These are the Arizona Early Learning Standards and the Arizona K-3 Academic Standards. This presentation will focus on the Arizona Early Learning Standards. In order to maximize the benefit of this presentation, you will need to have access to the Arizona Early Learning Standards. If you do not have this document now, please pause the presentation so you can retrieve it. This isn't going to be a presentation so much as it will be a guided tour. We will be exploring and searching within the Arizona Early Learning Standards. If you just sit back and watch, you will not get the full value of this activity. So get in there, get active, and join me in the adventure and exploration. You will use this information not only for this course, but for future courses as well. There are 3 objectives for this presentation. First, to get a better understanding of the early learning standards for children's ages birth to 5 years old. This will include understanding the various sections of the standards and what they tell us. Second, you will learn how to use standards to better understand the children you work with and to make decisions about appropriate instructional activities. Third, you will understand the link between the standards and goals as related to child development. Throughout this course, you have been reading and hearing that an effective instructional system requires an integrated system that incorporates standards, parent input, ongoing progress monitoring, and a good understanding of children's strengths and needs. This slide illustrates the impact of a thoughtful approach to children's learning. Briefly, the standards provide direction which informs instruction. That instruction is then monitored regularly. Monitoring permits you as a teacher to have a clearer understanding of each child's unique set of strengths and needs. The information you get from monitoring permits you to make changes to your instructional activities to optimize learning. At the same time, it is important to be communicating regularly with parents as they can provide useful information to help you in your efforts. Now let's take a moment to examine the Arizona Early Learning Standards. The Early Learning Standards were written with children ages birth to 5 in mind. The standards were also written to address the natural environment where children this age can be found. These environmental settings can include an individual family, maybe a family child care setting, a child care center, a preschool, or a Head Start. Before examining the standards, it is important to review a few of the guiding principles of the Early Learning Standards. First of all, the Early Learning Standards recognize that each child progresses at a unique rate, has an individual learning style, and possesses diverse abilities. You will not see a list of specific skills a child should possess at a certain age level. Rather, the standards reflect a range of indicators that we can use to examine child development. Another principle of the Early Learning Standards reflects the idea that young children learn through active exploration of their environment. This exploration should include a balance between self-discovery and adult-initiated selected activities. This is reflected in the Early Learning Standards by the examples given for each indicator. These examples show how children demonstrate knowledge in routines, activities, and play. Because children's learning is based on prior knowledge, the indicators are also listed in order from a less complex skill to a more complex skill to help guide instructional activities. Along with several other principles, a final principle that is reflected in the Early Learning Standards is the idea that families are the primary caregivers and educators of young children. The language of the Early Learning Standards reflects a family focus and avoids educational jargon, so the standards are easy to understand. Let's focus on what Arizona Early Learning Standards are. They are a framework that provides first steps for designing activities and curriculum. They provide a set of building blocks that link the various domains essential to young children's development. They are also commonly agreed upon goals and outcomes, as well as a reflection of best practices and current brain research. The Early Learning Standards bring together what we currently know about child development and how children learn. The standards recognize that the domains represented in the standards are interrelated, meaning each contributes to the development of the child overall and also contributes to the child's development in each of the other domains. While it is not unusual to see some parents or programs emphasizing a particular aspects of children's development over others, the early learning standards are meant to address the whole child and should not be used in isolation. The standards are presented in a way that strives to eliminate fragmentation. The early learning standards recognize a link between early learning and school readiness as they create a pathway to school readiness, providing continuity between the early learning standards and the K-3 academic standards. Finally, the early learning standards are appropriate for all children, regardless of background, language, and diverse needs. They are flexible and can be modified. Overall, they are a tool meant to assist parents, caregivers, and teachers in developing meaningful learning experiences for young children. The learning standards are not to be used as a curriculum or checklist, nor are they to be used alone as an assessment tool. The early learning standards strands and targets are not meant to be taught in isolation, nor should they stifle the creativity of teachers and caregivers. Furthermore, and perhaps most importantly, they do not imply that only formal and structured activities are to be planned for young children. Rather, the standards should be used to help you get a better sense of where children are at in their development and learning. The early learning standards have 7 content areas or domains: social emotional, language and literacy, mathematics, social studies, science, physical development, health and safety, and fine arts. The next few pages will describe the format of the early learning standards. The first page of each domain section acts like a table of contents for the section. Here you will find an overview of the domain, each strand that is found in the domain, and the concept addressed within each strand. For example, in Strand 4, Approaches to Learning, the terms listed directly under the strand, curiosity, initiative, persistence, creativity, confidence, and so forth, are the concepts that are considered important for that strand. Following the Table of Contents page is a section glossary with definitions found in that section. The defined words or terms are written in bold print. This flowchart demonstrates how the early learning standards are organized. The standards or domains are divided into smaller portions called strands. These strands are then divided into concepts and then indicators. The indicators are the learning outcomes we expect the children to be able to demonstrate. Here is an example of what the pages of the Arizona Early Learning Standards look like. This page is from the Social Emotional Standards. The top of the page lists the strand. In this example, the strand is titled Knowledge of Self. Underneath each strand are several concepts. This example shows the concept self-awareness and includes a description of this concept. Underneath each concept are several learning indicators. These indicators are typically listed in order of complexity of skills. Finally, each page lists examples of the indicators. The examples show how children can demonstrate the indicators in the context of their daily routines, activities, and play, encouraging parents and teachers to embed activities throughout the child's daily schedule. Because it is not unusual for there to be a need to examine the interface between children in Head Start programs or children about to transition to kindergarten, the Early Learning Standards also provide a crosswalk between the Arizona Learning Standards, Head Start Child Outcomes, and the Arizona Kindergarten Standards. At the end of each standard section, you will find a matrix such as this that illustrates the alignment of the learning standards with the Head Start Child Outcomes and the framework for the Arizona Kindergarten Standards. The format described previously is the same for each of the domains of the Arizona Early Learning Standards. Towards the end of the document, you will find information on working with young children with special needs, English language learners, inclusive education, as well as the Joint Position Statement on Early Learning Standards. Now take some time to familiarize yourself with the content of the standards. Please read through the document carefully and begin to think about how these standards relate not only to what you teach, but how you assess the learning of young children. You can pause the presentation at this time, or you can review the standards after the presentation is complete. As we have discussed, the purpose of assessment is to obtain information that will help you to better plan for learning. Look at this photo. Even though you cannot hear what is happening, the picture provides you with quite a bit of information. You may be surprised to learn that one activity can provide you with information about many different domains. Use the early learning standard domains to identify the strands and indicators that might be demonstrated in this photo. While observing this activity in the classroom, the teacher may have discovered that Jeremiah struggles with cooperative play. Juan is an English language learner and in need of improved vocabulary. Ricky is a verbal child who loves to invent stories. Dominique is a child whose speech is difficult to understand and who struggles with making his wants and needs known. As you think about the photo, consider the information you now have for each of the children. Try to identify some ways you might add or change the activity to address the child's need. In doing so, also consider the standard to which you are aligning your activity. As stated previously, standards are not meant to be used in isolation. They should be integrated and interrelated. Activities should be purposefully and intentionally planned in relation to the standards. One activity may demonstrate children's awareness and levels of ability on several different standards or concepts. In order to document children's progress, observational data and work samples should be collected repeatedly and systematically. Then these data should be used to assess progress, and the results should then be used by teachers in future planning.